it's off.
It's off exactly as it should be.
No, it said we turn it on.
No,
No.
ghosting is off.
Ghosting's off.
Well, what
Yeah, then
rock
I thought
have
it's
you been living
checked
under
before.
last week?
Yeah, bro.
Hello everybody, my name is Captain and welcome to DRL Racing League Round 1 and the USA Grand Prix. You might have remembered RRL. Well, this is RRL just renamed to DRL because we have a new owner and I as well have become the coordinator in this league. If you want to join us, we have the Discord link in the description. We have 3 tiers in this league and I'm driving in the first tier. This is season 2 of this league, and in the previous season we had myself and Jimsy winning both tiers, me winning tier 2 and Jimsy winning tier 1. I didn't want to make the whole season 1 videos because they were quite boring. But anyway, you saw in the beginning that we have ghosting off, and so that will be very interesting indeed. But anyways, enough about me rambling, and let's get into the first race. And we enter qualifying. As you can see, we're expecting some rain sometime at the end of the race. That actually kept me thinking about starting on mediums and going to the rain period, and maybe I can start below P10 so I have a free choice of tire. But I still need to decide on that decision because I didn't really know what to do at that time. And now we're preparing to go for our out lap and hot lap, and I'm going with mediums like always because I start on if I start on those tires, I want to get a feel for them before I just hit someone in the first corner. I hope we can set a good lap time on these mediums and that we can hopefully qualify pretty high, even though I know that I'm probably going to be the only one to set lap time on mediums. So now we're starting our first lap. The exit of the last corner was not great, but luckily I didn't spin, opening the DRS before the finish line and going full throttle to the first corner, which is a pretty difficult corner for me because I always overshoot it. And we overshoot it just like I said, but it didn't lose me a lot of time, just a small bit. And now we're heading to probably the most difficult part of the track. These twisty corners are very fluent, and if you miss the apex of one corner, you're going to invalidate or get a warning. And try not to lose the control of the car, like in the tier 2, one guy lost control and retired from the race, which is very unfortunate. Luckily, I passed those corners very nicely, and now we can chill for a bit until the straight. On the entry of the straight is a pretty good spot to overtake, and the straight itself is very good for overtakes because it's very long. But when you're alone on the straight, it's pretty boring, to be honest. This is probably the spot where you want to use your ERS because you can lose a lot of time if you don't have the right setup. I'm using the esports setup because somehow these work amazingly for me. These next few corners are pretty slow and you need to have momentum and really be careful with the traction because you can lose the back end very easily. And you can also lock up the tires pretty easily as well, especially on this corner. The traction on the exit is very bad, so you need to be very careful. This corner is flat out, no lifting of the throttle, and in the next corner, I don't know why, but my wheel is very unresponsive, so I need to turn earlier than most people. But luckily, I didn't lose a lot of time on it. Now we're at the last corner, and you also want to be careful with the traction and the gearing as well, because you can lose a lot of time. Opened the DRS, and we set a lap time of 1:32.9, which is not bad, but Molly set a lap time of 1:30.1. I don't think anyone's going to beat that anytime soon. And now we're in the pit lane, and I'm still thinking about being below top 10 for the free choice of tire. And as we can see, the times are pretty close, and no one has overtaken Molly yet. And he still has a lead by 6/10, which is so unbelievably fast. I don't think that anyone will beat that. They might get close, but they won't snatch P1. And I'm actually going to go on softs, but I still want to be below P10, so I won't push as much as usual. So now we're starting our flying lap on softs, which are actually my favorite because the color is the same as my car. But anyways, we go into turn 1 and we run a bit deep, but not too much so we don't lose a lot of time. But to be honest, I wasn't feeling it on these softs. Maybe they were too cold, but I felt like I had no grip and I ran very wide into the S section and I've cancelled that lap. And now after I went into the pit lane, I pit for new tires and I start my final lap of the qualifying session. I'm going to be quiet for the lap so you can see my lap in peace.
I did the purple sector 3. Rams retired on track.
Do you have where did you retire? Okay,
For
the
the
back.
long back straight, yeah.
Spaghetti also probably retired on track.
Yeah, he's ahead of me, so.
Yeah, I have the evidence for Spaghetti.
Now we round the lap, taking the final corner carefully to not spin, and with a lap time of 1:31.3, which is not the best, but it keeps me below P10 to get the free choice of tire, and almost run into the Red Bull. My AI was really weird to just steer into the other car. So here are the standings. As I said, we'll be starting P13, which will hopefully keep me avoiding any accidents in front. So we'll have to see about that. Oh, and if you're wondering who those voices were, they were Crazy and Baba. I was talking with them during the race. And here we are for the first race of the season. We can see that the rain will come sometime at the end of the session, so I'm fiddling around with the strategy to see what would be the best for me. I tried to go with hearts, or see if the hearts would go to the end, and then I saw if mediums would go to the end or at the rain period. And then I just decided to go on hards and not risk it with the mediums. Fuel will be a lap higher because there will surely be a safety car, so I don't want to overfuel way too much and be slower because of a 4-lap overfueled car. There was actually a formation lap, but I skipped it because it's not interesting. And we have 5 red lights, and away we go into the first corner. The holdup was actually pretty long, to be honest, and we get a pretty okay start, which was unexpected for hard tires. But we're pretty close to the guys in front, and we see that 2 guys are already overtaking me on the inside and outside. I decide to let him through, but Nelson doesn't get a good exit, and we're still side by side. But yeah, I decided to brake and just let him through because he's on a much faster tire than me. But after a few seconds, he doesn't get a good exit and runs very wide, and that gives me the chance to overtake him. And just as him, I get a really poor run into the next corner, and he follows me behind. And we see Spaghetti spinning in front, and we nearly avoid the accident, but that doesn't happen with Nelson as he collides with Spaghetti. This is a really big first lap crash, and that's the reason why I showed you that ghosting goes off in the beginning. And this is the collision with Nelson and Spaghetti.
Shut up.
Crazy!
Shut up.
Crazy, what the f?
He pulled a George Russell.
But your car is damaged, completely gone?
It's damaged.
Okay, yeah, but you can still drive.
You can still do it, it's fine. Safety cars you can pit.
And I got a warning for exceeding paint limits. I'm done.
During the safety car we only had one incident and you just saw it. But anyways, we are preparing to resume the race, going very slow into the final corner, and we get the green flag, but I don't get a good exit as you saw. And now Molly has a really good chance to overtake me, but I try and defend, but he goes down the inside and takes P8 for himself. The traction at the exit of the corner was really good, so I tried to come back at him, but it looks like he was using all of his ERS and he just pulled away.
We look down towards the pack. Batur just made a move on Kirkland for P10. Kirkland still on those hard tires. Definitely losing some speed through the corners here with the drivers on newer tires. He sticks behind Jimsy, his fellow champion from season 1, as they go into sector 3 here. Kirkland sticking on the outside. Ooh, goes off track there, has to back off. Sticks on the inside there. Crazy making move around the outside, makes it stick. Kirkland squeezes him a little. Now he has Slappy on his inside as well. Kirkland not having the start he wanted from this safety car restart.
So yeah, on that lap I go really wide into this corner, and Batter overtakes me with that mistake. And as you saw, Jimsy was trying to make a move on the inside, and he somewhat succeeds as we go side by side the whole corner. And on this straight I was behind Jimsy to get his slipstream and use all of my ERS and the rich mixture, and I try to overtake him, but there is no DRS because of the safety car. It disabled it, and we try going around the outside because Jimsy defends the inside, and we're going side by side. I try to brake as late as possibly can, but I run wide, and crazy, and that enables Crazy to make this amazing move around the outside. That was an amazing move from Crazy. Slappy also tries to overtake me just behind, but I defend for that position. I'm not letting him take that position. Now we can see that Crazy is making a move on the inside line of Jimsy, and I'm showing this because that gives me a opportunity to get really close to these four guys in front, who are going pretty slowly on this lap, as Jimsy and Theo almost go side by side, and yeah, I had to brake right here to avoid crashing with Jimsy, and I just avoid the collision, but that doesn't slow me down as much, as in the next few corners I have a move on Jimsy on the inside and then the outside. I give Jimsy a slight touch to let him know that I'm there, and us three have a really good battle, and I overtake Jimsy for P12 in this race. I get an amazing run of that corner, and I try to overtake Theo on the inside line, and he doesn't even defend for that position, and I get that move pretty easily. But that doesn't mean that I'm clear from these guys, to be honest, because they might still overtake me. But that never happened because we actually gained 1 second in the following lap, and in this corner I'm probably the best because I gain a lot of time there, and you can see that I'm not overheating the tires and my tires are at 14%. Now we have a fight in front with Crazy again and Frolarino. Crazy is doing the switchback move on Frolarino, but it doesn't overtake him as Frolarino actually goes into the pit lane. But that is actually a problem for me because I managed to get close to Crazy because he was fighting with Frolarino. In these next few laps, nothing interesting happened. It was just me driving and trying to get close to the guys in front. Some were on a better tire, so it was a bit harder. But speaking of hard, they weren't actually that bad to drive with. I actually had pretty okay pace and was catching to some guys, and the gap was getting smaller and smaller every corner and every lap. It was just a matter of time until we fight with them. And on lap 10 we actually get half a second close to Baba in front, and we should have DRS on this main straight, as we're even closer because we get a really good exit off of that corner. And we do have DRS and slipstream as well, but ERS is a bit lacking on the car. I tend to waste a lot, but it doesn't harvest a lot in time. Maybe that's because of the Ferrari engine, which is not that good this year, but I wouldn't know. We try and move around the inside, but we don't do it. We'll get another opportunity, as Baba actually loses some time, and we know that I gain a lot of time here. And we do gain some time, but we weren't close enough yet. The problem is, if I don't pass him, I'm going to have a lot of dirty air, which will limit the levels of downforce that my car is making, and that will instantly slow me down. But I have the DRS for the start-finish straight, and I hope that we can get more time right here. But then I decided that I should probably save some ERS for the next move that I make, because I don't have ERS, so I have nothing to fight with. I ran wide into turn 1, which again loses me a lot of time, but yeah, in sector 1 it looks like I gained more time than I should have, because Baba looks like this is probably his worst part of the track. And this next corner is probably my nightmare, because no matter what I do, I always get oversteer, but that doesn't matter now. What matters is this. Baba, we might have a problem on our hands.
I saw it. I hope the rain starts in like 1 or 2 laps. We have a huge problem. But that's what I meant, like with 2 softs, it could also work quite well.
So yeah, the rain was coming way faster than we expected, and at this moment there were some soft compound runners that were just behind us, and they were amazingly fast, and it was just a matter of time until they passed us. Oh, I ran so wide right there, and he's overtaking me now.
Just let them pass if they're so much faster. I would also do that. There's no sense in fighting them.
And that's exactly what I did. And just after that, Rams overtakes Baba as well. Those guys are really fast compared to us on 11 lap oil tires.
Yeah, we have a ton of guys behind us.
And that was one of the very biggest problems of the race, because there were a lot of guys with fresh off tires, and they were just waiting for the perfect moment to pass us. I knew it was too worth it to fight with them, so I just let them go as quickly as possible and try not to lose a lot of time. Which was exactly what happened. The racing point overtakes around the outside, which was a really good move. Then he just pulls away from me. The clouds are actually getting really dark, so now we're just playing the waiting game of when the rain hits us. If you didn't know, in the rain, when it's dry, you need to use two different compound of dye, or you get disqualified. But in the rain, you only need to use one. Now Cameron's going to us.
Yeah, just let him through.
So here I thought that Cameron was also going to overtake us, and in the next few laps we actually saw some rain droplets pouring on the screen and on the track. This next move on Baba would probably be my last if I wasn't consistent in the race. So yeah, the rain was starting to pour more and more, and I still haven't lost a lot of time to Baba, but Cameron was just catching up to us, and he made a move down the inside that he touches me a little bit, and he pushes me wide into the corner, which helps Not Knight to make a move on both of us, and he actually succeeds, which was a very impressive move, using everything to his advantage to make that very beautiful overtake on us. This lap we were actually going into the pit lane to finally go on the intermediate tires for the rain period. The rain should stay for the rest of the race, so we won't be seeing any dry anytime soon. I hope that we can get a good stop right now, so we can get some advantage to the guys in front. A 2.6 second stop, the usual stop on the line, which is very stupid to be honest. Anyway, we get out of the pit lane and find ourselves in P8, which is not a bad position. The main thing keeping me from P8 because I gained that position was Batur, who was 4 seconds behind me, but I had 6 seconds of penalties, which meant that I needed to gain 2 seconds in the rain, and I'm not good in the rain. But over the next lap, I actually gained a lot of time, and I was getting around 0.6 seconds per lap, I think, which was really good for me. And on lap 22, something happened with Crazy and Baba, which allowed me to get really close to both of them, and maybe I could have the chance to overtake them. The only problem were my penalties. I had 9 seconds of penalties and they only had 3, which was pretty bad for me. If I were to stay in front, I had to get in front of them and then get a gap of 6 seconds, which was impossible because both of these guys are very quick in the rain. And the next lap, I actually tried to get crazy in these corners where I'm the best, but I just overshoot this corner and almost run into the back of Crazy, which would have ended in disaster if I wouldn't have been careful, but thankfully nothing happened. And we're in the back of Crazy once more, but now closer than ever before, but still not close to make the move. And now on this lap, I remember something that I completely have forgotten and why I was losing a lot of time. I just remembered your advice, Crazy.
Yeah. Good. What did I say? Because I need that advice as well.
That I should accelerate when my wheel is straight.
Oh, yes.
First, remember that I'm 7 seconds ahead of Batur. I don't know how I could have forgotten this. What that means is that you're going to have way more traction at the exit of the corner, and that means that there is way less chance to spin, and you will get a lot of time at the exit of the corner. It's really easy to do, and you gain a lot of time, but you still need to be very careful in the rain and try not to spin because you have no traction control, and you really have to be careful with your throttle management, and you need to know where to apply the throttle. This is the final lap, and we still haven't passed Crazy. So you can see that even with that helping me, I still haven't passed Crazy because it's really hard to overtake in the rain, and you have to be very careful and try not to make any mistake. I just want to survive until the end, so I take these corners nice and slowly, and Molly wins the race. Congratulations for him, and we come in P7.
Oh, GG, guys.
GG.
P4.
GG.
Holy f.
At least we both gotten the points.
And that's the end of the race. Here are the race results, and congratulations to Molly again for winning the race. Quick plug before the end, if you want to join our league and race with us, there is a link in the description for the Discord server and you can apply there. The Twitch link is also located in the description, and yeah, this was a really interesting race and I hope that we have more of these. I'm going to try and make a video about the races every week, so let's hope I can do that. But anyways, I'll see you later and goodbye and stay safe.
Was this me, or was it just a dream?